Ever wish you'd kind of push back more? Like asked for a little extra or maybe just gotten a better deal overall?
Hmm.
Well, today's your lucky day because we are diving headfirst into negotiations
We sure are.
and we're going deep.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so excited to be your guide
Oh, perfect.
as we navigate this together. We're going to break down those myths and
Yeah,
give you like real practical techniques that you can use right away.
love it. Because like negotiation, it always seems kind of big and scary, right?
It does.
Like all about boardrooms and these like high stakes
Well,
deals.
intimidating, right.
Yeah.
But the stuff we found, it like totally busts that myth.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not just for like the CEOs
Yeah.
negotiating. It's like, it's everywhere.
I like that. So like, what do you mean by like everyday examples?
Oh, man. Think about last time you convinced your friend to see that movie, the one you wanted.
Yeah.
See, you negotiated that.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a win.
I see what you mean. It's not just those big formal things. It's like
Yeah.
every little back and forth.
That's it. Exactly. We try to reach an agreement with someone, big or small. That's negotiation in action. Even deciding where to eat,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
Even haggling. Like, think about
Oh, at a market.
flea market. Yeah. You're using negotiation skills, And the more we understand that, like how that works, the better we get at it. I mean, it's like anything else, right?
It's true.
The more you practice, the better you get.
That actually reminds me of something really interesting from the research. One article talked about how freelancers, new freelancers especially,
Oh, yeah.
they often struggle to set their rates. Like
Same time.
they don't know how to negotiate for themselves.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's tied to their worth,
It is, yeah.
you know? But a lot of it comes down to confidence or a lack of it, you know? And here's the thing. Confidence in this, it doesn't mean being the loudest one in the room.
Right.
It's about being prepared.
I was going to say, because one of the most surprising things I read was that 90%
Road.
of negotiation success is from preparation.
No kidding.
9%.
90%, like, blew my mind.
That's wild. See, that's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
huge. Like even before you walk into the room
Yeah.
or you send that email, you can like really get ahead,
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to do that,
Okay.
figure out what you absolutely will not budge on.
Oh, interesting.
What are your non-negotiables? Right. And then what you're willing to be flexible about.
Hmm.
Knowing that beforehand is huge.
That's such a good tip. I'm already thinking of
Right.
how to apply that. But okay, so what about like when you're actually face to face
Yeah.
with the person? Is it all about like power poses, Like, are we channeling our inner alpha?
I mean, a little boost never hurts.
Yeah, sure.
But honestly, what really changes the game is way more subtle. And it might surprise you.
Okay.
It's about listening.
Listening, you mean like actually paying attention.
Exactly. See, people think it's a battle.
Like you got to outsmart them,
Oh, yeah.
dominate the conversation.
Yeah.
But the best negotiators, they're the ones who actually listen.
Oh, that's interesting.
They hear the other side. They find that common ground,
Okay, I'm very intrigued. Tell me more about this whole listening is a secret weapon thing.
Okay, so when you listen, it's like you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, right? You're actually picking up on things. You hear their needs, what matters to them, And that can totally change the game.
So it's almost like you're like a detective or something,
Yeah.
looking for clues to solve this puzzle of like, how do we both win here?
Exactly. You got it. And the thing is, most people, they're so busy thinking about what they're going to say next.
Yeah, so totally guilty of that.
Right. They miss those little hints. But when you really listen, you get the advantage and you build that trust. That's huge,
Okay, I'm with you. Well, what about when things get a little tense? Like the other person throws something at you and you weren't ready for it.
That's where handling objections comes in. And that right there is an art form, trust me. But the key, don't see them as roadblocks. See them as like opportunities.
I like that. Turn it around,
Yeah.
right? So how do you actually do that?
All right, so say you're, I don't know, a web designer. You're pitching to this potential client.
Okay.
They seem interested, but then they're like, whoa, this is pricier than we thought. Now, you don't freak out, right? Don't just drop your price. You take a second and you try this. Acknowledge, highlight, pivot.
Acknowledge, highlight, pivot. Got it. So acknowledge, that's like, you don't ignore their concern.
Right.
You're not just
So
like,
you gotta validate it. Be like, hey, I get it. Budget's important. Something like that goes a long way.
makes sense.
Then bam, you highlight your value.
So the web designer here, they might be like, hey, my designs, they're not just pretty. They bring in customers. They make you money.
There you go. You see. And then the pivot. You offer a different way to do it
Okay.
that works for them but still shows your worth.
I like it. That'd be helpful for way more than just freelancers too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of which, uh, let's talk about something that makes everyone nervous.
Oh, here we go.
Asking for a raise,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
right? So how do we
It can
even...
be intimidating for sure.
It really is.
Yeah.
So how do we walk into that, like, prepared?
Remember what we said before. Preparation is key.
Right, right.
So before you even talk to your boss, do your research. See what others in your position are making, but most importantly, have your wins written down. Numbers talk, you know?
So you've got your research, you practice what you're going to say, you feel ready,
Hmm.
but how do you start that conversation? Is it just like, yo, I want a raise? Or is there a smoother way to do it?
Directness has its place, for sure.
Sure.
But it's often better to like make it a conversation,
Yeah.
talk about your career, how you can help the company even more, that kind of thing.
So instead of me, it's like, here's the value I bring. Yeah.
Exactly. It's win-win. You're not begging. You're showing them, hey, I'm invested in us doing well, and here's how I fit into that.
I feel like that probably makes things less tense too, you know?
For sure. You're on the same team, right? Working towards the same goal.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And I guess negotiation isn't one size fits all either, right?
Nope.
It's about reading the room, figuring out what works in that moment.
100%. It's about finding a solution, not about like forcing someone into a corner. It's got to work for everyone, you know?
Right, right. And the more we do this, the easier it gets. Yeah.
It's like anything else, right? The more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
Like learning a new language or something.
Exactly. Takes time. You'll stumble a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Which, speaking of, I love that the stuff we read wasn't just about those big formal negotiations. It was about using it every day.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it matters when you're talking to a street vendor or convincing your friend to try a restaurant.
It's all training.
It is.
Those little moments build your confidence. You get to try things out, without it being a huge deal if it goes wrong.
Right. Low stakes.
Exactly.
I'm starting to think it's less about some, like, magic trick and more about being human,
Yeah,
listening, understanding, explaining yourself well, being creative.
you got it. It's about tapping into those things we all have. And when you do that,
Yeah.
you can handle anything, not just the boardroom.
Right. Like life is kind of just one big negotiation when you think about it.
Pretty much, yeah. And when you go into it wanting to collaborate, wanting everyone to win, that's when the magic happens.
It's true. It really opens things up. It's like the more you learn about this stuff,
Right.
the more you realize like, whoa, I had no idea.
It's true. And you start seeing it everywhere.
I know. We started thinking about like suits and contracts and now
It's all around us.
it really is.
But that's good, right? Because it means we're not stuck. We can actually like change things. We have a say.
Totally.
It's empowering,
This has been awesome. I feel like we just scratched the surface, but
Always more to learn, right? But if you take away one thing, just one, it's this. Go into every negotiation curious. Whether it's a car
yeah.
or like bedtime with your kids.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. Approach it like what's possible here.
I love that. Curiosity and
There
possibility.
you go.
Because really, when you get down to it, it's about connecting with the other person, right?
Exactly.
Figuring out what they need, what we need, and making something better together.
Beautifully said. And that's what to remember when it gets tough. And it will, because it's not about like crushing the other side.
No, not at all.
It's about making it work. And that takes creativity, being open to different ideas.
I'm flexible for sure.
Exactly. Seeing things from their side.
This has been so eye-opening.
Glad to hear it.
Thank you so much for sharing all this with us.
My pleasure. And hey, next time you got to negotiate something, anything at all,
Mm-hmm.
take a deep breath, trust your gut, and don't be afraid to ask for what you want, okay? Such good advice. All right, that's it for our deep dive into negotiation. We covered so much.
did.
Getting ready, listening like it's our superpower.
Secret weapon.
Right, and handling those curveballs with, like, grace. Until next time, remember,
What will you negotiate?
yes, you've got this.